Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinoxe Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. International pressure is mounting on the Cameroon government over the deepening Anglophone crisis and the arrest and detention of leaders of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement (CRM) political party, including the president of that party, Professor Maurice Kamto. The United States of America and the European Union have issued a statement condemning with strong terms the deepening socio-political crisis rocking the northwest, the southwest, and other parts of the country, and of course the detention of political leaders. They have called for the immediate liberation of Professor Maurice Kamto and the other leaders of the CRM political party, and one of the former members of the Cameroon government, Edgar Aleme Bengo, may be heading to the Kondengi maximum security prison in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. He's been questioned at a special criminal court in Yaoundé over corruption charges, or better still, corruption allegations. Two top officials of the United States of America and the European Union, the two most powerful regional blocs in the world, have issued statements condemning with strong terms the deepening Anglophone crisis hitting the northwest and the southwest regions of the country, but also the socio-political atmosphere in the country that has remained tense since the arrest and detention of political leaders, notably the national president of the CRM political party, Professor Maurice Kamto, and other leaders, and over 200 militants of that political party who have been prosecuted over different charges, some amounting to hostilities against the fatherland, a penalty or a charge that could lead to a death penalty. And the United States of America and the European Union have called for the liberation of Professor Maurice Kamto and the other leaders, as well as genuine dialogue to find a way out of the crisis hitting the country. Innocent as it has more.
On Tuesday, March the 4th, 2019, the U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs made a declaration on Radio France International on current issues in Cameroon, including the deepening Anglophone crisis, plus the arrest and detention of opposition politicians like Professor Maurice Kamto of the CRM political party and his supporters. To Thibaut Nagy, who is monitoring the situation in the two English-speaking regions of the country, government of Cameroon is malhandling the socio-political crisis, making the wish for peace far-fetched. On March the 5th, a day after, the European Union, on its part, rattles the Bia's regime, demanding the release of Professor Maurice Kamto and dialogue with Anglophones. Federica Mogherini, the High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy of the European Union, said the EU is willing to support every initiative bordering on dialogue, which is the best answer to Cameroon's numerous political challenges. Addressing the Anglophone conflict, she said the persistent violence and human rights abuses in Anglophone Cameroon have created an unacceptable number of victims, as well as enormous human and material damages. This is one of the strongest statements made by the European Union since the birth of the Anglophone crisis, as well as the arrest of Professor Maurice Kamto and his supporters. Reacting on this double criticism received within 2 days, the government of Cameroon chose to react first to the statements of Thibaut Nagy, the U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs. René Emmanuel Sadi, dismissing his declaration, said the Cameroon government preferred to detain Professor Maurice Kamto and his supporters for acts of common law, including insurrection, hostility against the fatherland, rebellion, and destruction of public properties, both in and out of Cameroon. Regarding the Anglophone crisis, the communication boss said all the security measures taken by the government are up to date, consistent with international conventions on human rights, which provides exceptions when public order and peace are threatened. Meantime, Tibor Nagy, the U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs, who is following the situation in Anglophone Cameroon, is expected in Cameroon before March ending for a working visit.
He was one-time minister delegate at the presidency of the Republic of Cameroon in charge of defense. He was one-time minister of transport, and today Edgar Alain Mebengo is one step to the Kondengi maximum security prison in the nation's political capital Yaoundé, where several members of a government are being detained, and he's been questioned by judges at the Special Criminal Court in Yaoundé over charges of alleged bribery and mismanagement of funds and, of course, corruption. He has been before judges at the Special Criminal Court in Yaoundé since Tuesday. Smanji Kangebre.
After Edgar Alain Mebengo was barred from leaving the country, since Tuesday, the former Minister of Defense and Transport has been before judges of the Special Criminal Court in Yaoundé to answer questions linked to bribery and corruption. The ex-defense minister Edgar Alain Mebengo, often believed to be the possible successor of the long-serving president Paul Biya, is being accused of bribery and corruption over the purchase of military equipment from Mark Force, a company that sells a full range of military clothing, equipment and vehicles. Also involved in the ongoing questioning in the faulty transaction is Mebengo's wife, Bernadette Mebengo, and their two sons. Bernadette Mebengo was questioned at her residence by officials from the Special Criminal Court, while his husband was in day 2 of his interrogation at the Special Criminal Court premises. Two top military officers, Colonel Ghislain Victor Mboutoum and Colonel Maxime Leonard Mbangue, and a certain Emmanuel Meunier, have also been remanded with the former defense minister for their alleged involvement in the scandalous deal. It is worth noting that after Tuesday's audience, Edgar Alain Mebengo slept at the Kondengi Maximum Prison in Yaoundé.
The rector of the University of Douala is now seeking solutions to the teachers who have gone on strike, and the teachers have downed their tools over poor working conditions. Take a listen to some of the teachers. They are members of the Higher Education Teachers Trade Union in Cameroon.
Because of the condition of lecturers at the University of Douala. Because since 2 years we still negotiate with the administration, but with the little result. They offer us staff room for lecturers, but there is not any chair, there is not light, there is not water. And the strike is also concerning the financial aspect. When we used to go to the Yaoundé for the CPP and CCUE for the promotion of the lecturers. When we go there, we need to stay to hotel and feed ourselves. But we lecturers used to use our own money without the support of the university, knowing that for these two aspects, the university have to give a part for just for the transportation or the accommodation. But until now, since 2 years, we went there without any accommodation coming from the university. We meet the dean of the different and the head of faculty of the different school. They say that the administration take 20 million for each school to ameliorate the condition of lecturers, but until now we don't have any amelioration. We can just have the Faculty of Science, the Faculty of Economic Science, who have a little amelioration, but Faculty of Letters and Faculty of Public Law, there is not any amelioration. It's lecturers who are trying to ameliorate the space they give to them. It's not normal. As a lecturer, we need to have the space to stay, the space to discuss with master student, doctorate student, good condition of life, just the minimum. We don't ask for maximum.
A member of the Higher Education Teachers Trade Union, the Douala chapter, speaking there on the crisis going on in that university, notably concerning the working conditions of lecturers. And Equinoxe Television equally spoke to the rector of that university, Professor Francois Xavier Etoile, and this is what he had to say about the situation.
Of my personnel, administrative personnel, we have been dealing about the matters. This matter deals, first of all, with the increase of what is called in French SMIC. I mean, the basic salary, official basic salary authorized in our country, which has been raised from 25,000 francs CFA to 36 and 500, I think, francs CFA, something like that. Okay. Now, the personnel are requesting to see application, complete application of this, of so said decree of the head of government, Prime Minister. Okay. So we have done the necessary to upgrade the potential salary, which probably might be less than 36,000 francs CFA. So we have dealt with a problem, and you have no problem with that anymore today. But the second point of claims of my personnel was to say they were not concerned with the reduction of salaries made in 1993 by the government. They are claiming that they should not be included to those to be applied this reduction of salary. I said, okay, I don't know why you pretend that you are not concerned. Let me have document which will help me to help myself be at the same level of knowledge, of information like you. And when we met last month, 28th of February, we did agree that they will come and hand over to me documents which will help understanding what is going about. And since I have committed a special committee in charge of examining and proposing.
The rector of the University of Douala, Professor Francois Xavier, was speaking there, and the lecturers of that university are on a 3-day strike action. And of course, the support staff of that university are equally on a strike action, as well as support staff of the other 7 state universities in the Republic of Cameroon. On to something else now. We go over to the Northwest Regional Capital, Bamenda, to talk about the devastating consequences of the poor hygienic state of that town on human beings and on the environment. Mustela spoke to an environmentalist and compiled this report.
The company charged with keeping the city of Bamenda off garbage has reportedly started work after their activities were allegedly suspended between January 19th and February 16, 2019. This comes few days after a team of reporters from Equinoxe Television went to the field and painted a picture of the deplorable nature of the town as garbage was being left to decompose. Since January 2019, when inhabitants of Bamenda started complaining of different health conditions caused by the stench, flies and maggots as a result of the decomposing garbage. Nothing was done to remedy the situation until the start of February 2019, when Defense and Security Forces cleared some streets of the waste. The sigh of relief was short-lived as in no distant time, traffic along the markets, major streets and road junctions were caused by garbage dumped almost everywhere. In the midst of the confusion, inhabitants have resigned to fate.
We are not happy to see the garbage here. We are feeling very bad.
I'm confused and I don't really know what happened. They are calling on the garbage disposal company to hasten their activities as their health and businesses are at risk. We plead on them to come back. We don't know what is wrong. I sell food here, but my customers run away because the garbage stinks. As at now, the garbage disposal company is yet to respond to a promised interview to Equinoxe television in order to enlighten city dwellers. At press time, their workers have been spotted along the food market, cleaning the overflowing garbage and dumping in the cans at the same spot. City dwellers have continued to hope that the garbage disposal company will sit up and rescue them from the risks that comes with staying with decomposing garbage.
In the report coming up next, Limbe-based correspondent Davidson Maimo takes a look at the rate at which people continue seeking for legal advice from the right sources, that is from legal minds. He indicates that there is a growing tendency of people rushing to the internet to seek for legal advice despite the disadvantages.
With the introduction of the internet and the social media, the phenomenon of persons seeking legal advice from lawyers is gradually dying out. Most often, people tend to Google legal advice from the internet and the social media, which often do not relate with their own area and context. It is equally common to see law enforcement officers now playing the role of lawyers. The legal system itself, in recent, has lost its credibility.
The situation on the ground, we see it on a daily basis that the court system is not as friendly as it used to be. So some lawyers would think that it would be proper for them to get into this issue of arbitration.
Added to this is the Anglophone crisis that has pushed many persons to settle illegal crimes at home, which often backfire.
Given the security concerns we have in our region, so we thought it was a good initiative from the Bar Council member, Barrister Iban Toko, and others who brought up the idea.
These and many more are some of the issues that brought together lawyers from Fako Division in a one-day seminar to rebrand this noble profession, which is being threatened by outsiders. Lawyers need to understand alternative dispute resolution mechanism so as to meet up with recent challenges.
When you talk about arbitration, then you are getting into a dispute settlement mechanism that requires you to have a binding decision. What most lawyers think about most of the time is that when you want a binding decision, you go for adjudication. So we are looking at this alternative method to adjudication, which is called arbitration, given that Article 1 of the OHADA Treaty itself encourages litigants to use arbitration over adjudication, which is the state dispute settlement mechanism.
The seminar was organized by the Association of Hope, Peace and Sustainable Development, a non-governmental organization based in Limbe.
The problem of bad roads continues affecting several parts of the Republic of Cameroon, from the big cities to the hinterlands. Here in the country's economic capital, Douala, several localities are suffering, commuters suffering as a result of the bad state of roads, many of them which are in an advanced state of dilapidation. In this newscast, we take you to the Japoma stretch of road, and Equinoxe television went investigating, finding out why that road has remained in a bad state for several years. Innocent Aze has more.
The rainy season is already announcing its presence. But this 3-kilometer stretch of road from Nyala Chateau in Douala leading to the Japoma Stadium construction site is still abandoned uncompleted by the Arab Construction Company over what the regional delegates of Housing and Urban Development qualifies as debt owed them by government.
Parce qu'ils ont trouvé que la dette était assez élevée et commençaient à avoir donc des problèmes avec leurs différents banquiers.
Works for men Kumtozwa Guy notes, according to the contractors, can only resume if the 11 billion francs CFA owed them by government is paid.
11 milliards. Vous voyez, c'est quand même assez lourd pour une seule entreprise de pouvoir supporter cela.
A situation which sees the population suffering most, as after inhaling dust in the dry season, they prepare to drown in the small lakes and carry mud all over.
We have big lorries carrying sand, serving the new stadium in construction. That's why you find holes in the way. If you enter a hole there, you cannot even see my head.
The cratered, rugged and muddy road has greatly hampered circulation and has damaged many vehicles.
At least we try to fill those gutters, those holes by our human activities every Sunday morning. But it appears that those efforts are not sufficient because rain, with all this natural problem, we cannot cope with it. We need more materials. We need the support of government.
Transporting kids and students to school is now very risky and expensive.
J'arrive régulièrement en retard. C'est tout, il faut prendre le goudron parce que ça fait longtemps.
Ever since a letter was addressed to the government delegates to the Douala City Council, no response has been received.
So we were waiting for the answer, then the rents are already coming back. This not rains, and this money was not easy to reach the market. All population here, women, men going to work, many who have their money, they are fleeing the quarter to go and stay back in the towns.
The Ministry of Public Contracts also wrote to the Douala City Council inquiring why works ended and expects feedback on when construction of the road will resume and end. Contacting the Douala City Council, reporters were directed to the regional delegates of Housing and Urban Development, who says deliberations are on course with hope positive decisions will be taken so that work on the Nyala Chateau stretch of road resumes.
And that's it for the first part of this newscast. Coming up next in some few seconds, Talking Point. We are welcoming a political analyst, Ako John Ako. You're welcome.
Yeah, the pleasure is mine.
You must have read through the statements made by the top officials of the United States of America and the European Union concerning the situation in the northwest and southwest regions of the country, as well as the detention of Professor Maurice Kamto and the other leaders of the CRM political party. When you read through that statement, what could you analyze within the lines?
Yeah, we just imagine that the United States and the European Union have had time most often to work as allies, and this is what they have done again now, coming after weeks of arrest of Maurice Kamto and his group and the deteriorating situation in the two English region of Cameroon. We realize again that it is just reiterating because the U.S. State Department has made similar statements at the beginning of the crisis, and sometimes we were doubting if this particular statement were addressing to the Cameroonian people or they were just addressing to the government. When words are coming directed towards the government, we have seen the force of the United States as presently the force they are behind Putin on Maduro in Venezuela. We intended that the same force should be carried on the Cameroon government, because I can't believe for 3 years we have witnessed killing, assassination, arbitrary detention of Cameroonians and a lot of other human rights violations. I remember some time ago when I talked with one German agency, we are talking of one of the right today, the right freedom of expression has become a problem, and this is where we are dying. Again, the right to life, because today those who live in the regions, you realize that a lot of villages have been burned. Those who have the initiative, the willingness of even coming home, can never go back again home, because time and again we meet a lot of gunfire. This is a political crisis to talk first without the phone problem. It is a political crisis that warrants a political solution, but we realize that the government in Yaoundé has failed for 3 years, they can't handle this problem. We need foreign intervention. And I would ask if the the United States and the European Union, it is time not only on speeches, we need real action to be taken against Yaoundé.
And I was going to ask you, when you look at the way the government has been managing the crisis up to now, for close to 3 years today, can such strongly worded statements from such superpowers, not only countries, but continents, the European Union and the United States of America, are two powerful blocs?
Yeah, I have said the words of the United States and the European Union have always had a lot of consequences in international diplomacy. And I believe very strongly, you saw the reaction of the Minister of Communication telling the EU and the United States that Cameroon is a sovereign state. You cannot be a sovereign state and you keep on sacrificing the life of your own citizens for Christ's sake, for egoistic tendencies. Those who support this war, they have continued to be fueling the war. I mean, in one way or the other, the government loves this atmosphere, because I will insist, Christian eminence Cardinal Toomey has taken an initiative that was going to solve this particular issue, if not propose solutions to the government, but the government has never been in support of such initiatives that are intended to bring peace. People are seriously ready to carry out business transactions to bring in arms. We have seen in recent times how long China is now financing the military in Cameroon, owing to the fact that the United States, some few weeks ago, equally decided to cut aid directed towards the military in Cameroon. The United States have been doing a lot, but I think they were all diplomatic. We need real action to Cameroon.
Yes,
why not?
You're talking about moving from speeches to action. What kind of action are you talking about?
Yeah, at one point, I thought today we have the International Criminal Court, which equally should not wait that we should slaughter all Cameroonians before some top government officials should be indicted. I believe a lot of people are on the ground sponsoring this war through their words of expression, through supporting the movement of the head of state. They are failing to advise the head of state on what the solution is. We have seen the situation in Colombia, where the president of that nation, the former president, won a Nobel Peace Prize for giving peace a chance against war, which has been for over 50 years. It will mean that at whatever extent, no matter how it lasts at war, we will always end up to dialogue. So why is the state of Cameroon refusing to dialogue with its own very people and think that arms is a solution? They thought it was going to be very easy, and I have said at the beginning that you cannot try with what we call guerrilla warfare, because the person fighting you don't know. And this is the situation now in the two English regions. Many people live in Douala, others in Yaoundé. Internally displaced persons, others live in the bushes. And if really you are a leader elected for the people, I mean the head of state need to come out in his moderate opinion to understand that the clique around him are all corrupt and that they can't look anything better but to continue that as long as the war keep on going, a lot of them keep on enriching their pockets. We have said this time and again, I don't know why it is too hard for the government of Cameroon to understand that peace is better than war, no matter from whom it is coming from. The head of state has the power. He is the prince. He has the rule of war. He has the right to end this issue. If you decide that war should end tomorrow and the fighting should end, the power belongs to the head of state.
Another issue highlighted in the statements made by the top US and European Union officials is the detention of Professor Maurice Kamto and the other leaders of the CRM political party. There is a call for his liberation.
Yeah, I believe it is not the first time the EU may be coming out as one. Other nations and international human rights groups have made mention of that. The arrest of Professor Maurice Kamto and his group, you can't arrest a whole political party plus his bureau to prison in an atmosphere of solving a crisis. We remember on the 26th of February, a lot of people protested throughout the world, members of the MRC party, yes, but I think criminal responsibility is individual. Those who perpetrated certain acts against state institutions, a lot of them are in Europe. I have not remembered of any office, any bureau, any state infrastructure, any state instrument that was battered and destroyed in Cameroon in the presence of Professor Maurice Kamto and those who marched on that same day in Cameroon. We know that it is possible to identify those who were responsible for these atrocities in France, in Belgium, in Germany, and these authorities.
According to the government, the militants of the CRM,
it is not a matter of
Professor Maurice Kamto has denied those allegations.
That is what I'm saying. He has the right to deny because the state has not identified the individual and causing them having links with the government. There was also to be a diplomatic issue between Cameroon and the countries where the embassies or the consulate were violated. Ask the nations of that country to arrest those who are responsible for destroying effigies of the state while in France or Belgium, rather than arresting people back in Yaoundé I don't see where Moise Kamto, Metrenjoki, and a lot of others, D. Carpenter, are responsible of the crisis that took place in Europe. If we are a responsible government, if Cameroon is a state of law, I said criminal responsibility where crimes are committed out of this environment, no proof. The state has no link that those were, because they have not even been identified, they have not even been arrested. How do we put the whole blame?
Are you also calling for their liberation?
Exactly. Every Cameroonian that is caught for no just cause, without having a legal link to what has been committed in the field, is held against his conscience. And all those whom we call them prisoners of conscience ought to be released at any time the judicial process is said to be wrong. So, first of all, Moise Kamto and his group and the whole bureau, in fact, I will tell you that it was a system of the government. The government wanted to destroy the MROC, a strategic approach to destroy MROC in the next legislative elections, and they are gradually moving to that. They should be released without any delay.
John Ako, political analyst, thanks for coming.
The pleasure is mine.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. That's it for today.